think I remember I was running down the hall. I had my passion back, but I was so cold. Relaxing and I made the eyes of memories. Check out the kind of life that I did with believe. Living it up, who's out California, thank you. Anytime I'm here, you can't find a view. Any room, Hotel California. Anytime I'm here, you can find a view.
Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to episode 99 of the Knitting Expat Podcast. My name is Mina and I'm your host today. It is so good to be back. Today is Sunday the 8th. Is it the 8th? No, 9th. Sorry. Sunday the 9th of April 2017. It has been a long time since I last recorded an episode. I don't think I've ever taken a break this long since I started podcasting. I think it's been almost 4 weeks now, maybe just over 4 weeks since I last recorded. And I'm so happy to be back. As you can see, I'm recording on a Sunday, which is not my usual recording day. But if you have been watching the podcast at all for the last few months, or at any point in the last few months, you'll know that I was pregnant and I just recently had a baby girl. It's our first child for me and my husband. And I forgot to mention I'm coming to you from New York in the US. And yeah, so things have been a bit hectic around here since she's arrived. I did record one quick episode and another quick video with Layla, a little girl, after she was born. And that was back in March, so it's been a while since I've recorded. Like I said, things have been a bit hectic. I had my mum here for the first 4 weeks to help us out, and then Perry's mum, my husband, his mum, so my mother-in-law was here for another 2 weeks to help us out as well. And she left on Thursday. So since Thursday we've been without anyone else to help us out. I think we're getting used to being on our own. We're getting used to, you know, just being a family of 3 plus 2 cats. Who may or may not join me today. I do actually have the doors closed because Perry's home and Layla's hopefully going down for her nap right now. So yeah, to just try and contain the noise. But yeah, so thank you to everyone who's tuning in today. Thank you if you're a new viewer for checking me out, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys stick around and come back every time I record. Usually it's weekly, but we'll see how this goes. And places that you can find me, I'm online on Instagram and Ravelry, the best places to find me. I tend to keep Facebook private for just family stuff. I don't really use Facebook that much anyway, but there is also a Facebook page for the podcast which you can follow along there if you'd like. So that you can find the podcast on Facebook as Knitting Expat Podcast, I think, or Knitting Expat. You can find me on Ravelry as Mina Phillip. You can find the group for the podcast on Ravelry as Knitting Expat Podcast in the groups tab. You can find me on Instagram as Knitting Expat. I think those cover the main bases. You can also find the show notes. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Show notes for this and all past episodes at knittingexpat.wordpress.com. All of that is linked for you down below in the description box on YouTube, or if you're watching on the blog or in the Ravelry episode thread, then all the links are around that as well on there, wherever you find this video. So I think that covers everything. I wanted to quickly mention that we have a coupons code thread in the group as well, so if you are interested in making some purchases of any kind, and make sure you go and check out that thread first to see if you can snag a saving, and also to support some other lovely makers and things like that. And before I move into finished objects and works in progress, I wanted to quickly run through my March statistics with you guys. Like I said, I do this every month and you guys seem to really enjoy hearing about it. So the stats for this month are quite short. There's not a ton to talk about. I had 6 finished objects for the month of March, which is again, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm quite a speedy knitter, so I do get a lot of projects finished each month, typically. But since having a baby, things have slowed down, which again is fine. And it's not so much that it's slowed down, it's that I've just had less time to knit. I still knit just as fast as I did before, I just don't have as much time to knit. So that's perfectly acceptable. I always knew that would be the case. I am not disappointed by that, but I thought I would point that out. I had 6 finished objects in the month of March, 3 pairs of socks, 2 shawls, and a baby cardigan. And then I used up 10 skeins of yarn out of stash, and I had 12 skeins come in last month, and which I think on overall isn't too bad, and I'll show you those later. There was 2,715 meters of yarn knit in the month of March, and that equated to approximately 856 grams of yarn. That's actual yarn knit, not the weight of skeins, full skeins. But I have to say, this is the first month since I've started doing this, or since I've started keeping track of the amounts of yarn I've been knitting. This is the first month where I've knit less than 1,000 grams, or less than a kilo of yarn in a month. So that's interesting, I guess. Little random fact. So moving on to finished objects. I actually have 6 finished objects to show you this week, but I'm only showing you 5 because one is a design that's going to be kept a secret for now, and it's probably going to be another mystery knit along later this year. And that is a DK shawl that I've designed using Primrose Yarn, as dyed by the lovely Kelsey. Kelsey and I have been sort of chatting a lot lately, and I got to see her recently as well at her trunk show. Talk more about that later. And she had a trunk show in New York recently, and yeah, so we've been working on this collaboration together, and so we decided to this design is going to be launched later this year, so stay tuned for more details about that. Then I'll do the socks next because that'll be easier to show you. Next finished object, pair of vanilla socks. This is Rainbow, if you couldn't tell. Rainbows. This is Artistic Yarns by Abby on Etsy, and this is her self-striping in the Rainbows and Clouds colourway. And I added in a contrast heel in the grey. And for the heel, I did my German short row heel with the mini heel flap adjustment, and I did that in garter stitch. So all that is in the pattern. If you have the German short row heel pattern with the mini heel flap adjustment, and you want to do it in garter, any row that says purl, you just knit. It's exactly the same instructions. Nothing else changes. You just do it knitting all the rows rather than purling the wrong side rows. Nice and simple. So I cast these on just to have some plain vanilla knitting with the baby around and stuff. Sometimes that's really all you have time to do, is a couple of rounds in plain vanilla. We also went to, whilst my mum was here, we managed to get out one night to go to the cinema, and so I had these ready and on the needles to knit as well for that, which was quite handy because I enjoy knitting at the cinema. And these were knit on 2.25mm high sharps, I believe. Yeah. And this is actually some of my oldest stash of self-striping yarn. It was one of the first skeins of self-striping that I got over 2 years ago now. Then next pair of socks is this lovely pair. And this is the yarn is by Mon Sheep Shop, the lovely Cindy. And she sent this to me along with some other yarns and goodies. And this is her self-striping in the red breast colourway, which I believe is referring to a robin, the bird. And it's a 5-stripe colourway. I don't know if you can see that. There's 2 shades of brown, and there's like a robin's egg blue, and then an orange and a red. I'm not sure how well that's showing up. I'm actually recording in Layla's room at the moment. This will be my daughter's room eventually. For now it's our guest room because Layla sleeps in our room, but yeah, so I'm recording in here right now. And this has the garter heel flap stitch heel as well. I'm really enjoying knitting the garter stitch heel at the moment, so I'm kind of just sticking with it. It's nice and easy, and there's no purling that way either, which is fine. I mean, I don't mind purling, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood for it. And this was really fun to knit with, and I didn't actually mention, but this is also a stellina yarn. Words are failing. A stellina yarn. So it's nice and sparkly, and it was really lovely to knit with. This knit up so fast. So fast. It's actually a little bit ridiculous how quickly this knit up. And yeah, so that's pair number 2. And the final pair of socks that I've knit this since I last spoke to you is this pair of socks for Perry, which is my Grand Central socks pattern from the New York Sock Club, but with a twist. And I'll talk about that in a second. But it was really funny. There'd been a time when I just hadn't washed any of the hand knit socks for a while, and Perry had worn through all of his pairs. And he came to me and he was like, okay, like, I need you to wash the socks because I worn through them all and I'm running out of socks, because he got rid of a bunch of socks when we moved here, just to sort of like narrow down what he had. And he was like, I kind of need them again. And I was like, okay, fine. And I insist on washing the socks after the disaster that had happened when he accidentally felted a pair. So I insist on washing them. Not that he did it on purpose, but anyway. So I sat down with him one day and we went through my stash of sock yarns, or yarns that were appropriate to be used for socks, and got him to pick out a few skeins that he liked the colours of, because he's quite particular about what colours he likes. And I said, okay, fine. I want to get him to, he has 6 pairs of socks from me at the moment. I want to get him to 10, so that he has more than enough to get through a week and a few extra days, just in case I'm a bit late with laundry. So that's what we've done. And so this is the first of those skeins that I've knit up for him. So I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see it in this light, but okay, there you go. You can see that. If it'll focus. There we go. So you can see the Grand Central sock texture pattern going down the leg and the foot. But what you might not be able to see, if I take one off, you might see it better, is I've done it as like as a decreasing pattern. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this. So it sort of decreases down to a triangular point. There we go, you can see that there now. It's really hard to show it on this dark yarn, and the light's coming from the side rather than in front of me, so it's a little bit awkward angle. But so yeah, basically it decreases down to a point and then you start again. So you get these, I knit cuff down, so you get downward facing triangles, or if you did it toe up, it would be upward facing triangles, or you could just do it the opposite way of how I did it and have it go the other way, depending how you knit your socks. I hope that made sense. So I did put a picture of these on Instagram and ask if people were interested in me adding some notes to the pattern on how to do this sort of modification, and people seem to be quite interested in that. So at some point, when I have a moment of time, I will sit down and I will quickly write up how to make those adjustments if you are interested in knitting another pair of Grand Central socks in this way. So yeah, I will do that, and that will be issued as a pattern update at some point, like I said, in the future. I'm not going to promise when that will happen. It is pretty simple to figure out if you were interested in doing it yourself. But I will also, like I said, I will write it up really quickly and pop it into the pattern as an adjustment, or as an optional modification. It'll probably just be a separate PDF that goes in with it. But yeah, I will do that soon, hopefully. The next finished object I have to show you is a little baby cardigan, and this is one I knit for Layla, obviously, the only baby I have. And this pattern was, sorry, I should have mentioned, so all the socks were knit on 2.25mm US size ones. That's my standard sock knitting needle. And so this is baby sport weight cardigan. It was knit on 3.75mm needles, US 5s. I used that needle for the whole thing. I didn't bother changing for the ribbing. I used Primrose Yarn Company in a discontinued sport base that she doesn't carry anymore, so sorry about that. And this is in her Snow Owl colourway, which I absolutely love this colourway from Kelsey. I've used it in a couple of different bases now, and I love how this knits up. It's just the most amazing neutral leather. It goes with everything. It's a beautiful neutral. It's sort of like a cream base with these specks of browns throughout. some fuzz in my mouth. It's just a really nice neutral, and I absolutely loved it. And I've used, like I said, I've used it in a couple of things so far. The heel of my red breast socks is actually the leftover of this. So the heel of this one I've knit out of a sport weight yarn, which just gives you a little bit denser and cushier heel. So that's an option for you guys if you're looking to do contrasting heels and you want something that's a little bit more sturdy, a little bit denser, then you can use a slightly thicker yarn. And the pattern that I used is a free pattern on Ravelry called geez, what's up with my voice? By Julia Ducker. And it's called Save the Baby Whales. It's actually a Fair Isle pattern. It's got a Fair Isle motif at the bottom of some whales and the sea and stuff, which I wasn't particularly interested in knitting. I just wanted the basic sort of sport weight cardigan pattern, and I didn't have the brain space to try and figure it out for myself. I could have figured it out for myself, but I was knitting this after Layla was born, and I just didn't want to have to worry about working out maths at that particular time. So I've knit roughly, because I didn't use the exact needles that was suggested in the pattern, and I didn't take gauge because I could not be bothered. I figured whatever size this turns out, it will fit her at some point. And so I've knit roughly a 6 to 9 month size. I've tried it on her already when she was about a month old. So if you've seen that picture on Instagram, you'll see how big this is on her. So she'll definitely grow into it. But the reason why I wanted to knit this was because I've realised that she has a lot of colourful knitwear, a lot of colourful cardigans and jumpers and sweaters and stuff, hand knits, but she doesn't have much neutrals, and she's got a lot of colourful clothing as well. So colourful clothing and colourful knitwear can be a bit clashy sometimes. I don't particularly mind that, but it can get a bit much. So I thought if I knit her a couple of neutral staples for her wardrobe, then that will work out quite well as well. So this is going to be a neutral for her wardrobe to go with some of the more brightly coloured outfits that she has. Finally, the final finished object that I have to show you is another design of mine. It's a shawl, and I haven't come up with a name for this yet, but I'm quite happy that it's done. I can get that up there for you guys. Now, I did block it quite hard. The only thing with this shawl, and I've tried doing the beginning part a few different ways, but no matter how aggressively I've blocked, and I did block this pretty aggressively, it's quite hard to get rid of that little bump at the top, which doesn't bother me so much because of how I wear my shawls, and I'll show you that in a second. But this is how it turns out. It's a triangular shawl with this sort of chevron pattern. It's mostly in garter stitch. There are some stockinette rows, but it's mostly in garter stitch. And then this sort of eyeletty border pattern at the bottom in some contrast colours. It smells very sheepy because it's a very sheepy yarn that I've used. It's the Alpaca by, I believe her name is Miriam. She's a lovely, lovely person. She's a viewer of the podcast, and she has her own farm in upstate New York, and she sent me a couple of skeins of her sport weight Alpaca yarn is what she called it, and it was a mixture of Suffolk sheep and alpaca. She sent me 2 skeins of a sport weight, and then I had some mini skeins of a worsted weight from Finland that I picked up in Helsinki, which I used for the contrast colour. So I did mix yarn weights. It doesn't really show that badly. I mean, it's not obvious at all in the shawl, and it works quite well. And yeah, so I just had 20 gram mini skeins of these colours of a worsted weight. I think it might have even been an Aran weight, which I used to just stripe for those colours in the wall, just to add a bit of colour interest in the shawl. But it's mostly a neutral, and you could just do it all in a neutral. You didn't have to do the contrast colour if you didn't want to. But the way I wear my shawls anyway, triangular or whatever, mostly for triangular shawls anyway, is I don't wear it like straight flat around my neck. Like I wear them bandana style. I always fold down the top portion of the shawl anyway, and that gives you a double thick area at the top of the shawl, which wraps around, for me, I always wrap it around my chin, but then it always drops down a bit. So that top double thick layer bit gives you just a little bit of extra warmth around your neck, which for me is where I get the most cold. And if it's really cold, then I can just pull it up and cover my nose and mouth with it as well, and that gives extra warmth when it's really cold and really windy outside. So that would be how I would wear it anyway, which is why the little lump at the top of the shawl, if that ever happens when I knit a shawl, my own design or anything else, isn't a massive deterrent for me. I know some people really don't like it, other people don't mind it. I personally don't mind it because I fold down the top of the shawl anyway before I put it on, so it's never going to be visible. So yeah, that's how that one's turned out. Again, at some point this pattern will be written up. I do have it written up in my handwriting in my notebook, but I haven't had a chance to type it up yet, format it, get it tech edited, test knit, whatever. None of that's happened yet. It will happen. Like I said, as with everything, it will happen eventually. It's going to be the title of this podcast. It will happen eventually. But yeah, so there's that. And yes, that's the last of the finished objects that I have to show you today, which may seem like a lot of stuff, but bear in mind I haven't recorded in like a month, so that's a month's worth of progress for me, which is a lot less than usual, I have to say. Okay, so moving on to works in progress. This is going to be a very short section because I only have one thing to show you. I have reverted back to my monogamous knitting style. I find in times of stress or times when I'm really busy and don't have a lot of spare time, that having fewer projects on the needles is less exhausting for me. It's less mentally draining. I find that if I have too many things on the needles, it can get it can induce quite a bit of anxiety for me, which is really ridiculous because knitting is supposed to be fun. So yeah, that's why I just go with it. I enjoy the satisfaction of a finished object. So if I don't have a lot of time to knit, by keeping my projects down to a minimum, then I'm able to finish them quicker. So I enjoy that feeling more, if that makes sense. So the project I'm knitting on at the moment, and I only just started this yesterday, so I'm very much not that far into it, is a hat. And this is being knit out of Little Bean Love's hand-painted yarn. This is sent to me by the lovely Kayleen. There we go, she also has a podcast, if you haven't checked that out. And this is in the Slytherin Common Room colourway. So on her worsted merino, 218 yards and 100 grams, 100% superwash merino. So this is in her Slytherin Common Room colourway. And if you are interested in Harry Potter and really like Harry Potter and Harry Potter themed yarns, most of Kayleen's colourways are Harry Potter themed to some extent, and this is a really fun colourway. I really like this, all like the dark moodiness of it. And as I said, I've only just started. This is just the ribbing for a hat, and you may or may not remember, but back just after Vogue Knitting Live, I finished a cabled hat, which was one of my own design. And I actually sent that back with my mum for my brother. So I'm knitting up another version of it out of Kayleen's yarn I'm going to write up the pattern this time. I took brief notes on how I did the other one, but I want to knit it up again and make sure that my notes are clear and correct. And then I will get that pattern drafted, and same as everything else, eventually it will get there. But because it is a worsted weight hat and we're heading into the spring now, this isn't, the release of this particular design isn't going to be high priority. It will be knit up, it will be written up, and it will probably be released sometime in the fall or autumn. I can't believe I just said that. I've clearly been here too long already. But yeah, so that'll probably come out sometime in autumn in time for the colder weather. So that's my only work in progress right now. I do have a couple of other skeins of sock yarn wound up and ready to go to be cast on for socks. I'm contemplating starting a granny stripe blanket. Call me crazy, but I think that might be one of those things that's quite nice to work on or crochet when you really don't want to think about anything and you just want to like sort of mentally check out for a little bit. At least that's what I feel like. So that might be something that I start soon as well. The only problem with the crochet granny stripe blanket is you do need a decent chunk of time to sit down and start one, because the initial chain and foundation row, or if you're going to do the chainless foundation start, which is probably how I would do it, you're going to need a decent chunk of time to just sit there and get that first row done, or get that first established thing done before moving on and actually then doing the blanket when it becomes easier. So I just need to find a block of time where I can sit down and not think about anything else and focus and do that, because I'm not a prolific crocheter, so it will take a bit of concentration initially to get it all set up. Okay then, I'm going to take a quick break, grab a drink because my voice is doing something really funky, and I will come back with acquisitions. And then after acquisitions, we have knit along and giveaway news. I have a bunch of prize winners to announce this week. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do that within this podcast or if I'm going to do that as a separate video. I will probably record it all as one podcast, and then I might just cut out that segment and upload it as a separate bit. So we'll see. So back now with some acquisitions to share with you guys. First up, I have a couple of things I want to show really quickly. I've been, like I've mentioned before, been very graciously gifted a lot of lovely things for Layla since she was born, and even before she was born. So a massive thank you to everyone who's sent anything for Layla. I really, really appreciate it. A lot of the things that have been sent in this last month I've already put away, but I kept aside a couple of things that were sent that were handmade, and actually everything is crochet. I funnily enough, and I just want to show you these really quickly and say thank you again to these people. I've contacted everyone to say thank you whenever packages arrive. There is one thing that I'm showing today which I haven't been able to contact the person, because for the life of me I cannot remember how I was in touch with this person, whether it was on Instagram or on Ravelry or via email, and I couldn't find the communication anywhere to try and figure out how to say thank you to them, because I couldn't figure out their Ravelry name or Instagram name from the card, and I am just like at this point just couldn't figure it out. So I'm hoping if I mention it on here, they'll be able to get in touch with me and I can say thank you properly, like off camera as well. So this came in the mail. It was so cute and it's so adorable, and I can't wait till Layla's a bit bigger and that it fits her properly, because it is a bit massive right now, but it's so cute. It is this adorable little bonnet. It is just so darn cute. There's all these little bubbles on it, and so this is how it would go on her head, and it's just so cute. I just think it's adorable, and I can't wait till she can wear that. And this was sent by Michelle. So I'm not going to say your surname just in case you don't want that read out, but Michelle, if you can please get in touch with me and let me just get in touch with me so I can say thank you other than on the podcast. So thank you so much for sending this for Layla, and it is, like I said, so darn adorable, and I can't wait until she's at least supporting her own head so she can sit up and wear this for a photo, because I think that's so cute. So thank you for that, Michelle. And then another lovely viewer, Darren, who also got in touch with me and asked to send something for Layla, and it is just, again, it's crocheted and it's beautiful, and it's this adorable little vest, and it's just, I was looking at the stitches and I was like, this is a really, and I think it's just a single crochet, but it just looks really beautiful. It's nice and stretchy, and I've never seen crochet rib in real life before. I've always seen it on pictures and stuff, and it looks really interesting. So it's this adorable little vest, which will fit her soon. I think it's a little bit big for her at the moment, but she could probably still wear it. This will definitely fit her for next autumn, I think, and that'll look great. And thank you so much for that. But she didn't just send something for Layla. She didn't just send something for Layla. What is up with my voice today? She sent me something as well, and it's funny because as a knitter or as a crafter with yarn, you don't tend to be gifted a lot of finished knitwear or crocheted items. You tend to be gifted yarn because everyone just assumes you want to knit for yourself or knit your own things, which for the most part is true. But I've only been gifted a handmade item out of yarn for me once before, like as in something that can be worn. And it is really special. Like, I didn't really realise how much of an impact or how much that would mean to me until it happened, if that makes sense. And I think a few other podcasts have talked about that in the past as well. But so when I opened this up, and I was just like, it was just so sweet. And so yeah, so Darren sent me this beautiful crocheted shawl, and it's just perfect, just my colours, blues and purples and a lovely grey. And all of the yarns that she used, actually, she mentioned in her card, are all from Australia. She's from Australia herself. And what was the... Yeah, so it's white gum wool, I believe. Yeah, was the yarns that she used. And this one was hand dyed by a friend of hers. And this one was knit out of white gum wool in 2 different colours, the gradient and the grey. And it's just a really beautiful, lightweight shawl. It's just really nice and cozy, and it's really lovely to think that someone made this with, you know, with the intention of gifting it to me, or, you know, for that purpose. And it's just really, really sweet. So thank you so much to Darren and to Michelle for those lovely gifts, and I think I'll just keep this on for now. Next up, I have yarny things to show you. First up, Brooke from Fully Spun. She sent me this skein of her yarn Orion 2-ply BFL fingering weight, and she had originally sent this with the intention of this being for a giveaway, but I've decided to use this double skein set of Winter in Iceland, which is also a 2-ply fingering BFL, as the giveaway skein. So both total is 100 grams. So this is 100 grams in a single skein, and this is 100 grams in 2 skeins, 250 gram skeins, which I think gives you a little bit more flexibility in what you can do with it. And yeah, and I also have something specific in mind for this already, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so this will be for a giveaway coming up very soon. So thank you again to Brooke for donating to the podcast and for sending me some of your yarn to try out. I was also contacted by Cassie, who has the Crafty Cassie podcast on YouTube. I will link that in the show notes as well. I will link all of the shops that I talk about in the show notes and the episode thread for you guys. And she's starting to think about, she's starting to plan to do some yarn dyeing soon, and like starting a business for that. And so she wanted to send me a couple of skeins of yarn to try out and to give away and to see what I thought of it. So she sent these 2 skeins. This is a bright pink with spots of like purples and blues in there, and I believe she said that this was inspired by a poster for the Year of the Rooster. So that was what inspired this. I haven't seen the poster or the picture that inspired the colourway myself, but this is very bright. It's almost fluorescent pink. It's really bright. So I think this is going to be a giveaway skein. And I think, I can't remember what the base is. I think it's just a sock base, but it's really, really soft. I'll have to double check Cassie's email for the exact yarn fibre content, but I believe it's a merino nylon blend of some variety. And then this one is a sort of teal stellina colourway. I don't know if you can see the stellina on camera. It's really, there we go, now you can. There's a lot of stellina in this one. And I don't think I've ever knit with a yarn that has quite so much stellina in it, or is that it's quite so sparkly obvious. So this will be really fun and interesting to knit up. Probably be a pair of socks maybe, or a sparkly hat. Not sure. To be decided. So thank you to Cassie for sending those. Then let's see. Next up, I have a couple of sock blanks from Hip Wool Yarns. I was contacted by Erica from Hip Wool Yarns that they're a mother-daughter yarn dyeing duo, and they seem to focus mostly on sock blanks. And so this is their information, that card. If I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. There we go. Oh, again, like I said, I'll have this linked in the show notes as well. And she contacted me to see if I'd be interested in trying out one of their sock blanks. I said, of course. And she also offered to send one for a giveaway. So the one for a giveaway actually has, and they also, for a lot of their sock blanks, they'll write phrases on them as well. So this one, the phrase on it is Knittivist, kind of like activist, but Knittivist. So it's beautiful, mostly blues with some sort of purples and pinks and stuff speckled onto it. And I would take this out to show you, but I want to keep it nice and nicely packaged for you guys. The one that they sent me is an ice dyed sock blank, which is really, really fun. And if you don't know what ice dyeing is, it's basically, and I don't know the exact details, and I know there's a couple of different ways of doing it. You can use ice or snow. And I believe you basically prep your yarn for dyeing the way you normally would, and then you cover it with snow or ice, and then you sprinkle your dye powder or your dyes onto the ice, and then as the ice melts, it gets absorbed into the yarn, and it creates very unique. It's a very unique method of dyeing. Like, you can't repeat the same sort of colorways again and again. So that's my understanding of how it works from what I've seen and what I've heard other people describe it as. I may or may not be right, so don't take my word for it. But that's my understanding of it. And so this is the sock blank that they sent me. This is Monet's Garden Ice Dye. It's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, which is the same content as the other one. I thought I'll open this one up and show you. I haven't opened this one up yet, so I have no idea what it looks like. But it's really, really fun, sort of muted colours. How fun is that? It's greens, it's pinks, it's purples, and there's blues and yellows and oranges. There's just all the colours are in there. And I think this will knit up to make a really fun pair of socks. And I'm looking forward to knitting that up. It's been a while since I've knit from a sock blank, so that will be fun. I'm try and get this wound up nice and neatly. There we go. Put that back in there. So thank you so much again to Erica for that, and the other one will be used for a upcoming giveaway, probably for one of the New York Sock Club months giveaways. Next up, I have actually got a package that was sent by the lovely Jodie and Tracy of the Grocery Girls podcast. They very, very kindly sent me a massive box full of so many goodies and things, and I've only kept a few things aside to show you. I did post a picture on Instagram with everything that was included in it, but there were some edible things which are no longer around. There was some other goodies and stuff for Layla, which I've already put away, some books and things, but I kept a few of the things out to show you what they sent. So first of all, Jodie and Tracy sent so many things for Layla, but out of all the things they sent, the things that I felt were the most sort of meaningful, I guess, were the handmade items. And so they sent this blanket, which I'm assuming Jodie had sewn. Which way's up? Can I use both ways? This is obviously sort of like woodland theme, and it's like a flannel-y, so it's really nice and soft. And this one is backed in blue, so like this aqua blue colour. And it's just really, really fun, and these are so useful, these little blankets, for just putting down on the floor, and so Layla can lay on it. We'll go out to the park or something. So that was really special. And then there was another blanket, and this one was even more special because it's one of Jodie's knitted swatches prints. And I've actually already used this as a backdrop for Layla's 4-week photo. So if you've seen that, you'll have seen this as the backdrop of it. And this is really fun, and this is backed in a really sort of soft pink colour. And yeah, these were so special. And again, it's sort of on a sort of like a flannel-y sort of fabric base. Sorry, I'm not very good with fabric terminology. But that was really special as well to open. And like I said, they sent some other stuff for Layla as well, books and things like that. But they also included some goodies for me, which was really unexpected. I mean, the whole box was unexpected. It was all a bit overwhelming, I have to admit. But Jodie sent me one of her lovely project bags and a notebook, which have her knitted fabric print on it. And on top of all that, as if all of that was not enough, they sent me a couple of skeins of yarn from Yarn Inc., which was so generous of them, and it's actually a yarn dye I've never been able to have not had the opportunity to use before. So this one is a one-of-a-kind colourway on a sparkle sock base. So it's 438 yards and 100 grams. 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. So it's just like a creamy base with some bright specks of highlighter yellow and sort of purples and blacks speckled in there. And the second skein they sent it's called We're All Mad Here. It's their February 2017 Yarn of the Month Club, Yarn of the Month, on their Tough Sock. So it's 400 yards and 100 grams, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I believe that's an Alice in Wonderland reference. We're all mad here. But that's really, really fun. I really like these colours. I don't have anything in my stash that's like that, so that's interesting. That'll be fun. And thank you again, lovely to Jodie and Tracy, for that. And the last bunch of acquisitions, we should just say lovely things that came in the mail, is from the Primrose Yarn Company trunk show that I went to. So that was a few weeks ago now. I think it must have been like 3 weeks ago now. Kelsey had her trunk show at Brooklyn General, and so I popped along to check it out, and I dragged my mum and Perry and Layla along as well. And Kelsey was so sweet. We got to chatting and we were talking about future things that we wanted to do together, collaborations and stuff like that. And so Kelsey sent me home with a bunch of yarn to play around with and come up with designs for. The only thing I actually intended on walking away from that trunk show with was a skein of yarn for Perry. Like I mentioned earlier about knitting socks for Perry, I got him to pick out a skein that he liked. I pointed out to him the yarns he could pick for socks, and I was like, just pick a colour that you like, that you'll wear, and I'll get that and make socks for you out of it. So he picked this skein. It's lovely tonal greens. It's on her Cosmic Helix base, which is a 100% superwash merino wool, and this is in the Emerald Midnight Potluck, I believe, yeah, Potluck colourway. I know some people have issues with knitting socks out of 100% superwash merino. I don't. I've knit 100% superwash merino socks for Perry before. They are holding up perfectly fine, and so I have no issues using this for that. And then I got this skein of Cosmic Helix, same base, which is in her Springy colourway, which is so fun. And this is going to be actually for the, I've used some of Kelsey's yarn to design one of the sock patterns for the New York Sock Club, and I'm actually going to re-knit it for the design out of this colourway. I think it's more appropriate for the pattern, and also her design. The design out of her yarn is going to come out, it's going to be one of the summer months. I think it's probably going to be July. So this is a very sort of summer appropriate colourway, I feel, as well. So that's kind of the thinking behind that one. So yeah, so I'm going to get this wound up and knit up soon as well. And then she also sent me home with yarn to use for a shawl design that I had in mind. And so this will be for the body and this will be for the border. The border colour is out of her Luscious sock base, which is 80-20 superwash merino and nylon, and this is in the Rock Show colourway. So it's mostly neutral base with speckles of shades of green, and there's some black in there as well. And then this one is actually on her Sophia base, which is a new base for Kelsey. It's her MCN 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon, and this is 414 yards and 100 grams, and these two skeins are in the lemongrass colourway. So the lemongrass colourway has some of the same sort of greens that show up in this one, so I feel like those will go well together. And it's something slightly a little bit different, and again, this is a design that will be coming out sometime later this year. I need to get these wound up and cast on at some point as well. The design for that one actually is already written up. I've already written it out in my notebook. I haven't typed it up yet, but it's written, and it's been charted as well, so the charts are all done, which is half the battle. And again, it's actually one of those designs that's going to be quite flexible, which I'm really excited about. So I am looking forward to getting that knit up soon and get that worked on. And the last bundle of yarn that Kelsey sent me home with was 3 skeins of her Jasper DK in Nasty Unicorn, which is a new colourway for Kelsey, or a relatively new colourway. And I just, even though I'm not a pink person, and I've always said I'm not a big fan of pinks, I really like it in this context. Like, it's quite a grungy way of using pink in my opinion, and I just really, really like the effect of it. So this is her Nasty Unicorn colourway, and it does look different on different bases, so I will say that. But this is it on her Jasper DK, and I really love working with her Jasper DK. The shawl that I designed that I wasn't able to show you this week is knit out of this base, and it's such a squishy base. It's so lovely to work with, and it blocks beautifully. And so I was talking to Kelsey about how this would look amazing in like a cabled children's garment. And so next thing I know, Kelsey stuffed a few skeins in my hand and was like, go play with it. And I was like, okay. So this will be a children's sweater / cardigan design that'll be coming later this year, hopefully at some point, possibly with cables, because I think that would be so fun. And I think this yarn will be perfect for cables. It's so round and so plump, it will just pop. The stitch definition with this is amazing. So that was that, and that is all the yarn that I have to show you today. There's a lot there, so apologies if that was not interesting for you. So and one thing I forgot to show you earlier was the pair of socks for April's New York Sock Club, and the dyer who sponsored this month was a Wool and Vine, with the lovely Kristen, and she gifted me the skein of yarn when I first moved to New York, so I felt it was very fitting to use for the sock club. It's on her Volca base, which is her MCN, and it is out of her Not a Creature Was Stirring colourway, which I believe was originally a Christmas colourway, but I think she's bringing it back as a regular. I seem to recall it was in her most recent update, so I think she's bringing it back as a regular. And so this is the pattern. I'll show it to you up close, and it's called the Avenues. I named it the Avenues because the stitch pattern sort of reminds me of the grid system that is basically New York's streets. And get the camera to focus on here. Why does the focus thing want to go all over the place? There we go. Is this focusing or not? Oh jeez, come on. It's getting very annoying very quickly. Okay. You get the idea. The pictures are on Ravelry and Instagram if you want to see. It's a slip stitch pattern. It's actually the only one in this collection that is a slip stitch pattern. And just bear in mind, when you're working with any slip stitch pattern on socks or on anything, slip stitches, just by the way they're worked and the very nature of them, they create a tighter, denser fabric. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this all the way around the sock unless you're willing to go up in your stitch count and or your needle size to accommodate for the tighter fabric. This is one that I very much would recommend you only do on the front, but you can of course do it on the back as well. I would just suggest you try it on to make sure it fits before you get too far into the sock, because like I said, it does tighten up the fabric a lot. And actually there is a 2-row repeat version. There is various repeat versions. This is again a very adaptable sock pattern. There's a 2-row repeat version in the pattern that I've written that would work really well as an alternative for a heel flap. If you do a slip stitch heel flap or a eye partridge heel flap and you want to do something slightly different, the 2-row repeat would work amazingly as a heel flap stitch, because it's a very dense, very squishy stitch pattern, and I think would work really well for a heel flap. So just putting it out there as an option if anyone wants to try that. So that was that. I meant to mention that earlier. That was what I'd forgotten to talk about before. Okay, so you know what? I'm just going to do the giveaways as part of this podcast episode. I'm just going to leave it in there. I was going to do it as a separate one, but I think I'm just going to leave it in because it's just going to be more work for me otherwise to separate it out. So I had a Podiversary giveaway, and I didn't actually bring any of the prizes with me to show you, but if you want to see what the prizes are, you can check out the last podcast episode that I did. Okay, so prize winners. I will put a little timestamp on the screen here for you guys if you don't want to watch this section. If you haven't entered for any of the prizes recently and you just want to skip straight through to the end, by all means do so. This is also the last sort of nitty thing in the podcast. Everything else after this is just going to be some general chatter. So if you're not interested in that, then by all means skip the rest of this podcast, and I'll see you next time. Right, to giveaways. So I had a Podiversary giveaway that I announced last time I podcasted, 16th of March, or 17th of March actually, I think it was 16th or 17th. One of those days marked 2 years since I first started podcasting, which feels crazy because it feels a lot longer than that. But like I said, I had a few prizes lined up, and I showed you those in the last podcast that I did as well. First up, we had 3 patterns that I was giving away. The winners for the patterns, the first one was Volver by Debbie Reese, and the winner for that was number 21, Lacey Lauer. I use random number generator to draw all the prize winners for this and everything going through. I'm just going to put that out there. So Volver was won by number 21, and that was Lacey Lauer, I think. The second prize was a owl sweater pattern by a lovely viewer and designer on Ravelry, who's I'm really sorry if I'm butchering this name, but it's Odur, I think. It's just got an accent on one of the letters that I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce, and it's an Icelandic name, so I know I'm probably saying it wrong. But the winner for that was number 221, and that is Renee. I think it's Renee with a W at the end. So congratulations. And the third pattern was the World of Difference shawl by Jen, who's Boston Jen, of the Downseller Studio podcast. And the winner for that was number 184, and that's Kitty Mama 101. So congratulations, ladies. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to get in touch with the designers directly and give them your Ravelry names, and so they should be sending the patterns along to you soon. In addition to that, we had some prize packages, which I did a separate thread for and asked you to let me know which prize package you were interested in. So I drew for winners until I got one prize winner for each package. You know, they'd said that was the package they were looking for. So the first package was a package of goodies that I put together with some mustache yarn in there, and the winner for that was number 358, and that is Aquila de Hun, which I think is a really fun Ravelry name. Aquila de Hun. So congratulations. The second prize package was a package with some Primrose Yarn Company yarn, a project bag, and that was won by post number 281, and that was D Foley 99. So congratulations. And the third one was a 1-month subscription to Row 1 Yarns, which I showed you last time as well. Laura does a monthly subscription where she sends out basically mini skeins from different dyers each month, kind of like a swapless swap, but this is like a monthly subscription version of that. And the winner of that one was number 455, and that is Avril. So congratulations, ladies. If you won prize package number 1 or 2, so the Mustache Yarn or the Primrose Yarn Company, get in touch with me, let me know your address, and I will get those out to you as soon as I can. And for the Row 1 Yarn prize, get in touch with me, let me know that you've seen it, send me your email address, and I will get in touch with Laura, and then she'll be in touch with you about getting your address and getting your prize sent out to you, because she's sending it directly to the winner. So thank you so much for entering into the Podiversary giveaway. Then we have the Knitting Expat Designs year-long knit-along, and I said that I would draw for prizes at the end of March, so I've done that for the first round. What I did was I took from post number 2, because post number 1 was mine, post number 2 to the last post that was posted on the 31st of March, according to what Ravelry tells me when I log on, when I'm looking at the thread. And I believe there were 297 entries, well, from 2 to 297 was the parameters. And so we had 4 prizes this month. The first is a project bag by Monique of Frog Peak Creations, and the winner of that was number 63, and that's Gamma Sharon, and she knit a cozy blanket. So congratulations, Gamma Sharon. If you can get in touch with me, let me know that you've seen this, and I'll put you in touch with Monique to arrange your prize. I believe you just get a choice of project bag from her shop, and she will mail it to you directly. The second prize, which actually is what this is going to be for, is Brooke of Fully Spun Yarn. As I mentioned, she sent me some yarn to use as a giveaway, and originally she was going to send it directly to the winner, but she sent it to me, so I'm going to send it out, which is absolutely fine. And the winner of that was number 225, and that is Fabi Knits, and she knit a pair of driftwood socks. So congratulations, Fabi Knits. Get in touch with me with your address, and I'll send that out to you. The third prize was a yarn, and a project bag from Crit Yarn Handmade. So the winner for that was number 262, and that was Saratoga Knitting. So congratulations, and she knit a Metropolitan cowl from Rib Magazine. So and that was really fun to see. So congratulations, and if you can get in touch with me with your address, I'll get that package out to you. And the final prize package was was yarn from O Loops and a project bag that was made by a friend of mine, and that went to post number 90. And I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this, but I think it's Lenoran. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was terrible. It's up on the screen. I'll put all the prize winners' Ravelry names up on the screen. Just some of these Ravelry names are impossible to pronounce. And she also knit a cozy blanket. So thank you very much for entering, all of you. And there will be the next prize drawing for the Knitting Expat Designs knit along. Will be in 2 months' time. So it'll be at the end of May. The next one. Then the Sock Pattern Club, which started on the 1st of March. The first round of prizes was up to the end of March, and I drew from the monthly FO thread. Again, same as with the last one, I went up to the last post that was posted on the 31st of March and drew from those. The first prize was yarn from Yoshi and Lucy Knits, and that went to number 82, and that's Muddyrd. Muddyrd. So congratulations. And the second prize was yarn from the Cozy Knitter, because I used her yarn for next month's for the May month club. So I thought if I get that out this month, then whoever wins it will be able to use it for next month's pattern if they want to. And so that was won by number 190, post 190 won that one, and that's Lady by the Bay. So congratulations. And final prize is a pattern also by the Cozy Knitter, and it's her Be My Valentine socks, and that prize went to number 28, Art Like Nonsense. So congratulations. And if you ladies can also get in touch with me with your addresses, I will send that out to you. And the last winner, Art Like Nonsense, you don't need to get in touch with me. I will send your details, your Ravelry name, across to Christina, and she will send you the pattern directly. Okay. I am going to skip over Q&As this week. I don't think there was that many in the thread anyway. I think there's only 1 or 2, so I'll do those next time. But really quickly, I wanted to do it's not really a week in review, is it? It's a month in review, I guess. So, like I said, I went to the Primrose Yarn Company trunk show. We had quite a big snowstorm towards the end of my mum's time here, towards late March. I tried to take my mum out and about a little bit while she was here. I felt quite bad because it was her first time in New York, and obviously I couldn't really do much. I didn't have much energy for a lot of the time at the beginning. I was still recovering, getting used to having a baby and all of that. But we did manage to get out a couple of times. I managed to go out for dinner with some friends one evening, which was really nice. And then what else? We've had a few. Layla in general has been pretty good. She's a very good baby. She's very easygoing for the most part. But we did have a few quite difficult days with her. And which again is fine. Babies have their difficult times. I'm not expecting her to be perfect the whole time. It's just, that's not right. But I've started trying to get her onto a schedule of sorts. Again, I know she's not going to sleep through the night or anything like that. I'm not expecting miracles or anything. But I'm trying to stick to a routine of sorts with her. And I know babies and children in general do pretty well with routine. So rather than just going down the route of oh, we'll just let whatever happens whenever it happens. Like, she'll nap whenever and she'll eat whenever and all that sort of stuff. I'm trying to I'm trying to follow a sort of schedule to try and get her into a routine. And that will adapt as she gets older. And obviously, I mean, if she's hungry, I'll feed her. It's not like I'm not going to feed her if she's hungry. I mean, we just put that out there. But I kind of want to manage her naps and know that she's, that I can put her down for a nap at a certain time or around a certain time, and she'll sleep through to a certain time, and I can wake her up and she'll, nap appropriately so she doesn't sleep too much during the day. And on the flip side, she'll then be able to sleep better at night or for longer stretches at night time. A lot of babies, what happens is they get their days and nights mixed up, so they end up sleeping a lot during the day and not a lot at night. So I wanted to avoid that problem occurring with Layla, and I didn't want that to happen. So far it's been working out quite well. We've had a couple of nights where things have been quite difficult, but mostly because Layla's had a lot of trapped wind, not because of anything else. It's just a trapped gas that's been bothering her and keeping her up and then keeping us up. So we've been doing whatever we can, but for the most part, like I said, this new schedule that we've been following has been working out pretty well. It's meant that I've been able to plan around that. I've got something to work towards. I know what I should be doing. Whereas before it was a lot like, oh, I don't know, do I need to feed her now? Is she tired? Or is she supposed to be sleeping? I don't know what I should be doing. But with this, it kind of sets out what your goal is to achieve. It's not going to be, you're not going to achieve it every day. It's not going to always work out. Like yesterday was a perfect nap day. The naps worked out perfectly. Today, not so much. I took a break from recording at one point and went and checked on Perry, who was putting her down, and she's still awake and she's supposed to be sleeping right now. So it doesn't always work out. But it's fine. The idea is that, at least we have an idea of what we should be doing or what we should be aiming towards, and we're not just like aimlessly trying to figure out what to do with our child half the time. So that's good. And actually, since we've been following this, or trying to follow as closely as possible, this sort of these guidelines, as it were, I've felt a lot more relaxed with Layla. I've felt less stressed, I felt less anxiety about it, and so, if nothing else, that's been a benefit. Like I said, my mum had been here, and when she left, that was really sad not to have her around anymore. I'd gotten so used to having her here, it was strange not having her be around. But then Perry's mum came over, and as a surprise, Perry's sister also came as well. She only came for the weekend. She came for 3-4 days, but that was a surprise for Perry. He didn't know she was coming, so that was really fun. And sorry. Other things that I've been doing, I've also joined a mums group, which has been really. So I've had the first meeting was last week. So I'm looking forward to going to that again this week. That was really fun. Getting to meet other people who are going to do similar things as I am, and just have someone else I can talk to. It's always nice. And then yesterday I had a bunch of my knitting friends over, some other podcasters and people who are around New York, came over here. I've been wanting them to meet Layla, and they've been wanting to meet her, and just to get together again. I hadn't seen them since before Layla was born, most of them. So it was really nice to just see everyone again and just hang out for a few hours, knit, chat, eat pizza, and play with the baby. And then, one final thing to mention. We did have a bit of a health scare with Derek a couple of weeks ago. Recently, we'd noticed, since we brought Layla home, that Derek has lost a lot of weight really quickly. He's lost about 20% of his body weight in less than a month, which for a cat is quite a lot. For anyone, is a lot. But so we took Hugo and Derek to the vets because they both needed some vaccinations updated. And Perry asked the vet to check Derek for the weight loss issue. So they ran a bunch of tests and everything came back fine. Everything came back normal, and if anything, he's actually now at a better weight anyway. Hugo and Derek were both sort of borderline on being a little bit too heavy, but now that Derek's lost the weight, he's actually at a much healthier weight for his size. And now Hugo's the bigger cat, weight-wise. But the vet said everything was fine and we were just keeping an eye on him. We had noticed that since bringing Layla home, he wasn't napping, he wasn't sleeping as much during the day as he normally did. But that's kind of fixed itself, and now that he's gotten used to her being around, he's back to sleeping all day, which is nice and reassuring. But last week, or the week before last actually, he had a bad bout of diarrhea, and it doesn't happen very often with him, but when it does, it's usually something to be concerned about. So Perry took him to the vet again, and they ran some tests, and again, they couldn't find anything definitive, but they gave him some antibiotics and stuff just to be safe in case it was some sort of infection. And they said that, if he hadn't gotten better by the end of the week, then that we should take him back to the vet to get some more tests done. Thankfully, it seems to have cleared up. Whatever it was seems to have gone away. The pills seem to have worked. So we're just keeping an eye on him, making sure that whatever it is doesn't come back, and that if it does, that we take him to the vet straight away to get checked out. Thankfully, our vet is just a block down the road, so it's not too far to go. And that pretty much sums up the last month. I'm sure there's more. There was more that I could have talked to you guys about, but I just can't think of anything else right now to say. I do have a couple of Knit Crate boxes that I need to do a review for. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a chance to do that today or if I might do that another day. I didn't get a chance to record a review for the March box, I'm afraid, but I do have the April box to review, as well as the March box, which I will review. The March box is going to be used for a giveaway, and the April box for now I'm going to hang on to. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the April box, whether I'm going to use it for a giveaway or not. But the March one is definitely going to be for a giveaway, so stay tuned for that review video. The giveaway details will be in that, and I will be back with you guys soon. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure if this is going to go back to being a weekly thing. I might end up podcasting every other week for a while until things get a bit more settled, until Layla's naps are a bit more reliable. I don't know. We will see. I might do weekly sometimes. I might do every 2 weeks other times. I think every 2 weeks is probably good, just because I'm not knitting as much as I was before, so I'll probably have less things to talk about if I did it every week. But we'll just see. It just depends on how things go and how much time I have. So yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope that you guys will have enjoyed this episode and will join me again next time. Okay. Take care. Bye.